Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 97 of How Do You Write? I'm Rachael Herron, and I'm so pleased that you are here today. Today, we are talking to the awesome and wonderful Rose Lerner, who is fantastic and so funny. And I really feel like if we lived closer together, I would just adopt her as one of those people I want to meet at the cafe and work with because she has the same sensibility that I do about this writing life, and she's just awesome. I know that you're going to enjoy the interview. Don't I give you good interviews? I'm saying recently I've been looking back at the people that I've had, and they're phenomenal. We don't get many duds on this show. And right now, I honestly can't think of a dud. I'm sure that there was one. You might have one in mind, but I can't think of one. So that's fantastic. You know what? We are approaching episode 100. I actually don't know what that means in my life. It's a very big number. It's a number that I had hoped to hit. And God willing and the creeks don't rise, I'm going to hit it. And I'm wondering if I should do something special or if we should just roll on through like it's just another show. And I kind of feel like it's just going to be another show. But I want to say that being up here in the high numbers of 97, it feels really good. It feels awesome to be sitting here and to be comfortable with the show and with the format and with how I talk to you all. And to know that we're connected, that you listen to the show and that my voice right now is in your car or in your ears as you're doing the laundry or raking the leaves, although we don't really do that here in the Northern Hemisphere in July. That's coming soon. But just to know that we are connected and we're thinking about writing, we're talking about writing together, even though it's me sending my voice out to you, I always feel like I'm talking to a really incredible group of people, and you're part of that. So I wanted to say thank you for that. I just got done doing, 2 minutes ago, I just got done doing my very first Facebook Live, which was really fun. I'm actually thinking I might release that next week as a podcast. I kind of went into it thinking I might do that, and it went something like 37 minutes before I realized it had been 37 minutes, and I freaked out and said, okay, goodbye. But it was so fun to talk to people. We talked about lots of other things, not just writing. And what a world we live in that we're connected this way is what I'm saying. What a world that I can meet and know and enjoy people online in this way, in a way that would have been completely impossible 20 years ago, you know? So I'm just really grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for you, that you choose to spend your incredibly valuable time here. There's no commodity like time. That is, not only do we not have much of it, but we're all running out of it. So the fact that, not to be morbid, but I love morbid. So the fact that you do spend your time here is something that I honor, and I'm going to try not to waste it by babbling anymore. Quick shout out to brand new patrons, Rebecca Adams and Stephanie Papi, a fabulous name, and Chris Wood. Thank you so much. Chris joins at the level which you get text messages from me. I haven't been very good at sending them lately, but I sent one today that was important to me, so I'm going to try to do more of those. But thank you to all my patrons, new and old. It makes the difference in me being able to sit here and talk to you, and you pledging even just $1 a month makes me know that I'm reaching you. So thank you. Patreon.com/Rachael. Yeah, that's it. Just Rachael. Rachael. I'm a little bit hyper today. I had caffeine for the first time in weeks. That's what it is. I had a Lapsang Souchong tea, which is my new jam. It's smoky, like a scotch, which I am not drinking. So I'm really loving the peatiness of a Lapsang Souchong tea. Highly recommended if you like tasting like you're drinking a campfire. It's fantastic. Can't recommend it more. In Booklandia, in my life, everything is A-okay. I start a revision on a book that I still can't tell you about because it's not official yet. I can't tell you till hopefully next week. But I think you've figured out that something nice has happened, and I begin revisions on it soon. I begin revisions on Monday. So the book that I have been writing, The Third Ballard Brother, I'm putting that on hold. I knew that I would probably have to, and it's a relief. Are you kidding me? I get to put down a first draft and pick up a revision of a book that's already highly polished. Fabulous. I could not be happier. I think that's really lifted my spirits. The experiment to write every day, total failure. But I got 9 days or so in a row of 2,000 words done before 9 a.m., which felt great. I am not keeping up that pace right now because I don't have to. I'm stopping writing those new words. And I'm not sure it was the way to go, but I will experiment with it a little bit more. I love trying things. I love that you guys are patient with me when I try things and I report back to you. I got a little bit burned out doing that, and that's silly. Apparently I do need a day off here or there. I also found a dog. You may have already heard about this on the social media. Found a dog, as I often do. I find lots of animals and rehome them, except for Dozy, who I kept. But I found a dog on Saturday, and on Wednesday she had 2 puppies. She did not look pregnant. So that has been exciting. I've got 2 little baby puppies on the front porch right now. I'm going to go check on them in just a second. They're 3 days old. They are the most delightful little buggers. I know that they're going to get even cuter as they start running around, and then they're going to get stinkier and more obnoxious, and I can't wait. So my sister is helping me foster them. They're going back and forth with us, and then we'll adopt them all out, the 2 pups and the mom. So that's been really fun, and it's a good life. It's good stuff, and I'm glad you're here for it. So enjoy the awesome interview with Rose Lerner, and we will talk soon. Get some writing done, and then tell me all about it. Okay, bye. Okay, well, I could not be more pleased to welcome Rose Lerner to the show. Hi, Rose.
Hi, Rachel.
So glad you're here. Let me give you a little introduction. Rose Lerner discovered Georgette Heyer. Is it Heyer or Heyer?
I've heard it many different ways, and I don't know the correct answer.
Okay, well, I'm glad
I say Heyer, but
you say Heyer,
that doesn't mean it's right.
That's what I think I just said. But okay, we're gonna stick with that for this show. Rose discovered her when she was 13 and wrote her first historical romance a few years later. Her writing has improved since then. Oh, it's going to be a rough start, but that's all right. Her writing has improved since then, unless you were a child savant. But her fascination with all things Regency hasn't changed. Rose's most recent story about a female soldier in Washington's army and her spy ex appears in Hamilton's Battalion, alongside stories by Courtney, Milan, and Alyssa Cole, which I loved. I loved all 3 of yours, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Loved. Her Lively Saint Lemeston series has been featured in NPR's 2016 book Concierge and Publishers Weekly's Best Books of 2014. She lives in Seattle with her best friend. You can find her online at roselerner.com. Welcome, and how cool was it to be in that anthology with Courtney and Alyssa?
It was so cool. I was honestly a little starstruck when they invited me.
I would be too. I would be starstruck with all of you, but just what you guys were doing with that, I think, was so cool. And I'm sure you don't remember, but 3 summers ago, we all sang Hamilton at RWA National, and I know you were there, and I was.
Oh, I remember. That was actually, we were originally going to announce the anthology at that, that was, we organized that for the anthology, but then we were we'll just do a Hamilton sing-along.
It was the most fun I've ever had at Romance Writers of America National Convention. That was the highlight of all of the years that I have gone, was being downstairs singing the first half, because we didn't quite have time to do the whole thing.
That woman that had the outfit and the chair.
I still think about her.
Yeah, me too. I saw the picture of her on my phone.
That's so awesome. It was great. Well, you are mighty prolific, and you turn out books, and
wow, I wish that was true.
Does it not feel true? I was just looking at you on Amazon,
No.
and dang, it seems like it.
I mean, it's been about a book a year.
Well,
which isn't slow, but there are definitely people writing faster.
Oh yes, you're not
I
doing
don't know.
a book a month, but that's a good thing, I think. I would also like to write faster. Always try. But will you tell us a little bit about your writing process, and when and where and what you do when?
Well, I feel like to an extent it almost changes with every book, but for a long time I've been someone that just writes. So I have a day job. For a long time I've just been writing when I have time. And I haven't been writing every day. I've been writing in longer stretches a few times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that does work well for me because I'm definitely, once I start writing, I don't want to stop usually.
Mm.
Assuming that I know what is happening next, right?
Yeah.
But I'm actually trying something new where I write a little bit every day, and we're gonna see how that goes.
And when do you do that?
Well, I actually just switched my work schedule so that I'm able to write in the mornings, so that I'm trying to write in the mornings during the week.
And how's it going? What does it feel like?
I can't really speak to like how, like, am I writing more words? But it feels good to have a little bit of progress every day and to kind of, I don't know, it feels like I'm making progress in a way that I really appreciate. So, and I'm definitely someone that, like, I need a lot of time for things to percolate. There's a large section at the front of a book that goes very, very, very slowly because I'm not sure what happens next. I'm writing and I need to take 10, 15, 20, an hour, to like just look at my map of the house again. And like, so I think especially for that, like just getting a little bit down, and sorry, what was your question? I
just kind of like what's the general writing process for you?
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that like it's actually kind of nice to have a little more structure because I definitely get sidetracked easily, as you'll probably see during this conversation.
I love it. We're already kindred spirits on that. I love that you say though, when you start to write, when you have those longer chunks and you don't want to come out. I sometimes feel like a very capital B bad, capital W writer because like when I start, especially first drafting, I just hate first drafts, and I'm in the middle of a first draft right now, and I hate it, and I'm always ready to come out. Like this morning, I hit my 2,000 words goal, which has recently been my goal every day, including weekends.
Oh my gosh.
It's my new goal, just to see what happens. Just for a month, I'm going to try it, and it was going really well. Like I was enjoying the scene. It was doing exactly what I wanted it to, and I hit 2,000 words and like 3 extra, and I was done for the day. I cannot even imagine going another couple hundred words. But you could just stay there, is that right?
I mean, not forever.
Yeah.
I tend to surface after like 2 or 3 hours, I guess.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I was picturing you down there for like 8 hours at a time.
Oh God. I mean, when do I have 8 hours at a time? Yeah. There's no point in my life where I just have 8 hours at a time, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, I tend to surface at a certain point, but it's like writing, like some people are like, I write 500 words every day or something like that. And historically that hasn't been good for me because it's like I want to write more, but then I also have not been able to make time every day. So doing longer chunks was working well for me, but I'm trying something new because I really have not been feeling like I've been making enough time and making enough progress. And so I really want to kind of, I don't know. I read this book that actually Courtney Milan recommended, called I don't remember the exact name of the book, but it's like something Mini Habits. It's by this guy named Stephen Guise, Guise. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, oh man, I'm about to reveal something very embarrassing.
Yay!
But so I'm going to use an example from a real mini habit of mine. So I do not floss my teeth as much as I should.
I am the worst flosser in the world.
Yeah,
so I've been company.
Struggling for years to make myself start flossing my teeth. So the idea of the mini habit is that instead of saying I'm going to floss my teeth every day, you make a resolution that's so small that it almost seems dumb, like you laugh at it. So my resolution is that every day I will floss 1 tooth.
That's good.
See, it's funny, right?
That's funny.
But so the idea is that even if you only floss your 1 tooth every single day, eventually it will become a habit. You'll be used to flossing your teeth, and so it's easier to build on that. But also the real problem with a lot of resolutions like this is that you kind of build up in your mind how much work it is, and you don't start. So because flossing 1 tooth is not intimidating, you always do it. And then once you're flossing the one tooth, you probably do a few more. Maybe you do half your mouth. Maybe you end up doing your whole mouth, right? And so you end up doing way more than you would have if you just decided I'm going to floss my teeth every day. And you also eliminate guilt and have like a sense of progress.
I love that.
Every single day.
I'm going to try that with my flossing at least. I remember my first 5 books were knitting romances. And, and I was at the dentist office one time, and I love my hygienist, and I have really strong teeth, which is how I get away with this. But she said, Rachel, I'm so sorry. Someday I'm going to read one of your books. And, she's a knitter.
Yeah.
And I said, that's okay. Someday I'm going to start flossing. So I hear you. So how do you use that in terms of writing? How do you use the mini habits?
So the one that he suggested and the one that I've been trying is write 50 words every day.
Ooh, I like that.
Because every day you can write 50 words, no matter what is going on in your life. Like that's like 2 sentences, maybe 3, depending on the length of your sentences.
Yeah.
So, and because like I said, once I'm writing, I don't usually want to stop, at least not soon. But it's very hard. Like a lot of times I get this block where I'm like, well, I don't have time to really, like, I'm not, I don't have my laptop with me, or I don't, whatever, like the situation isn't perfect for me to start writing, and so I don't. And this way it's like the resistance, it eliminates that resistance.
And it's all about the resistance. You're right.
Yeah.
For me, I think like when I don't want to start writing, it's because I don't want to start thinking. That's all it is. I don't want to start thinking about this particular book and where I left it and how I'm going to smooth these parts together. I just don't want to think about it. So yeah, thank you. That's fantastic. I love that. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to writing?
Definitely, like I was saying, like I write very slowly, and I'm very I'm very easily distracted, which makes me write more slowly. So like, and I'm trying to not pause in the middle of writing to research things, but at the same time, I think that a lot of really special moments in my books, or new ways of thinking about a scene or new ways of thinking about a character, have come from stopping in the middle to research some minor point, and so I also don't want to limit it too much, and I love doing it, but it's like I crawl through a book. And I would say that the hardest part for me is that middle, because I love writing the beginning. I always love writing the beginning. And then I get to the middle and I know what's going to happen at the end, and I just want to get there. Yeah. And I get it's like it's like sitting in a traffic jam. Like I'm just like, why am I not there yet? Why am I not there yet? Why am I not there yet?
Best analogy, because that's exact. And I feel the same kind of like boiling rage at the same time when I'm sitting there, not moving, not getting to the end.
And then I always rush the end. Like my editor, every single book, she's like, so the end feels rushed. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I rushed because I wanted to be done. I got excited because I was almost done, and I just like...
Well, it's like skiing downhill when you get there. It's like you've been trudging up this mountain, and then when you get to the end, it's like you strap on the skis and you get to go straight downhill. And I love that, but my editors always tell me the same thing. Oh, well, it's fun. What is your biggest joy in writing?
I think that writing is the one place in my life where I feel completely uninhibited.
Wow, that's great. I do not feel that way in my writing.
It's taken me many years to get there, but my therapist was talking to me about mindfulness, and she was talking about these core principles of mindfulness for specifically this type of therapy, and it's observe, describe, and participate. And participating is when you're completely immersed in what you're doing and there's nothing extraneous, like you're not worrying, you don't have sort of like stray thoughts, you're not thinking about what you're not thinking about thinking, and you're not thinking about you're just like participating in the moment. And she was like, so can you think of a time when you... And I was like, no, the only time in my entire life that I feel that way is when I'm writing, and it's a rush.
Yeah. That's being in utter flow.
Yes, exactly.
Which for me, seriously, happens like once or twice a week and no, and no more. If I could buy that feel, I mean, if any of us could sell that feeling of being in
Yeah.
flow, we would be the biggest drug dealers in the world.
Yeah. I can't say I'm always there when I write, but like it's definitely the one activity. Like when I'm in it, like it's the one time in my life that and it did take me a long time to get there. Remember when I started writing, and I think I actually learned this through doing fan fiction, because when I started doing fan fiction, and I think this is changing in the genre a little bit, but when I started writing, it was like the late 90s, and I think there was like a lot of airbrushing that went on in romance. Not every romance, but a lot of romances, and also a lot of movies where, it was kind of like, especially, like this started with sex scenes, because sex scenes were very like soft focus.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
like the 90s,
Oh,
it was like,
totally.
dance as old as time, and like her lush, like smooth skin, whatever. It was all very,
Exactly.
and nothing, there could never be anything that would like kill the mood. Right?
Yes. I remember the first time I saw something like that in a sex scene that killed the mood, I was like, yeah, that's great.
Yes. Yes. And so I would be writing, and I would want to write the next thing, because I write very like, I don't necessarily plan when I write. I just kind of follow that like curve of my instinct and like think of the next thing. And so I would get there, and then I'd be like, I can't write that. Like that's going to kill the mood. Right.
Right.
And then I would be like, well, I'll see. I'll try it and I'll see. And like, then I did like online, I did like a tutorial on writing sex scenes. And to prepare, I asked for feedback on my sex scenes from readers. And I asked, like, what are moments that you found especially sexy in my, right? And almost all the moments that people consistently said were the sexiest were those mood killer moments. Every single.
I love that. That totally proves my instinct about that. When we have condoms in my books, but like when the condom snaps and it hurts, and that those kind of things. Like it's a hilarious shared moment. You probably do. The Regency world, there are no condoms, right? I know that they existed.
Condoms definitely existed.
Yeah.
But I actually, I think because they were usually lambskin, and so I'm not sure how effective they were for disease prevention, although that was largely their function. I don't know how effective it really was, but they did prevent pregnancy, and they were reusable also.
Oh my gosh,
weird.
that is right. Crazy. See, and I don't know how you guys do it, how historical writers do it with all the research. Like that would be always an unbearable pull to go look for those kind of details.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have to say with my sex scenes, it's like with birth control specifically, I've just accepted the heroines use herbal birth control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the hero pulls out.
Yeah.
And like that's got to be good enough.
Yeah.
It would not be good enough to me if I was actually living in that time. I don't think it is actually good enough, but I've accepted it as like a shorthand for like safe sex.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I gotta move on because like, yeah.
Yeah. In contemporary, there's a that's not a trope, but it's a, what we do is we show the condom the first time and then we don't show it again for the rest of the book. And it's assumed that's your shorthand for the reader. Just they're being safe, and I'm not going to describe every time they get out the box,
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so interesting. Can you share a quick craft tip about any sort of thing?
Well, something that has really helped me is casting my characters.
Oh, please tell us.
Because
about that.
I am not a visual person.
I am not either. I can write an entire book and have no idea what they look like.
Yeah. So when I started, when my first book came out, after it was written, I sat down and I was like, I'm going to like come up with a cast, you dream cast these characters, because I like saw other people doing it and it looked fun, right?
Yeah.
And then I did that for my second book, and then for my third book, I was like, what if I cast them in advance? And Well, actually, for my third book, one of the characters was based on a Gossip Girl character.
Nice. Which one?
Nate.
Yeah.
Nick from Sweet Disorder is based on Nate
Oh,
Archibald.
cool.
Yeah. So because he's directionless, right? In that, but he's also, his very directionlessness enables him to kind of fall in with other people in a way that's like very charming. Like other people love Nate because, but anyway. So I was picturing Nate as Nick as Nate. As Chase Crawford. And then when I wrote True Pretenses, I decided to cast both characters in advance. And I did, and I thought both the people that, I had cast were attractive, and I knew what they looked like, and I knew how they sounded.
Yeah.
And my description, my physical descriptions and the sexual tension became dramatically better.
I need to do that. I am just starting this book. I'm only 10,000 words in, and I could still cast them because I continually fight that. And I feel like when I first draft a book, all my characters always sound like the same flat, boring ones until I revise. But what I really love that I'm hearing you say, and it seems obvious to me now, but I've never thought about it before. When people cast their characters, I always pictured them casting them as an actor or an actress. And not as actually somebody from a show with a built-in set of traits that then you can play with. It kind of gives you a few more colors in the palette for you to start out with.
Yeah, and it gives you, what's really helps me is it gives you a voice.
Yes.
I love being able to hear my characters talk and also see them move, like the way that they move. And I'm not someone that, really thinks about that unless I'm already aware of it in that fanish way that I am about characters that I love. So, yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you for that. I'm going to try it. Now I've got to start thinking about who I love. All right. So when you have self-doubt or dark days about writing, how do you deal with that?
Well, I feel like there's different categories of dark days.
Ooh, tell me.
About writing. There's dark days where you feel like writing's not important.
Oh, yes.
And especially now with everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
I actually have 2 postcards up by my bed. One of them is a picture of a pencil, and it says, "This machine kills fascists."
I love that.
And the other one is... it's a picture of a woman on a swing, and it says, "Gravity is not the only force at work in this world."
Oh, that's lovely.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and that really helps me remember that, art actually is important.
Yeah.
Art is renewing. Art gives hope. Art helps people process. Art provides representation. Art keeps us from being numb. So, yeah, I try to remember that. I've gotten emails from readers that the first time they felt hope after the election was reading Hamilton's Battalion, and that means everything to me.
Yes, and I felt that too. I think that's one of the reasons that I loved that collection so much, was that there was hope again. And I think we just all need it so much. I was reading, somebody sent me a article recently that said that psychological thriller is kind of on its way out because we're all so exhausted, which is, a pity because I just sold a thriller, but that would be the way I work in this industry. But they said that uplit is, and I had never heard this term before, but uplit is kind of the opposite of the misery lit, the mislit that we all love, because people are looking for hope and escape, which I think they've always been able to unerringly find in romance, which is why when we're writing romance, we're feeding that hope.
Yeah, I don't know I guess I don't know what the market trends are, but I don't agree with that for myself. I feel like what I want right now is that I've become obsessed with gothics, and I'm writing a gothic. Ooh. Because that atmosphere of dread, or Get Out, right? It's it's a horror, but it's also kind of a gothic. It's there is something wrong in this house, and that sense, that pervasive sense of dread that's the core of the Gothic, is the core of that film. And I think that people are craving that reflection of their experience.
I love that. And I think you're right. Have you seen Sorry to Bother You yet?
No.
Then it's the new and first Boots Riley film. And it had a little bit of the Gothic feel that Get Out did in that whole reflection of today's society. But it was really brilliant and funny and surreal. And you'll love it. But
is that the call center movie?
Yes, with
yes,
Frances Thompson.
I want to see that. I have not seen it yet, but I'm going.
It's brilliant. You'll love it. And it did have that direct reflection of where we are today. And I do like that you say that about the Gothic and how that is a form of escape, entering that way into a fantasy world. Did you ever read Mary Stuart as a kid?
I didn't, but I read a lot of Victoria Holt.
Oh, I love Victoria Holt too. Mary Stuart was my idol. I think she still kind of is. What is the best book that you've read recently, and why did you love it?
I just read Dread Nation by Justina Ireland.
Oh, I haven't read that.
It's so good.
I love the cover.
Yes. Oh my God, the cover's amazing. So it's YA alternate history / horror, and it's basically it's like Reconstruction. Except with zombies.
Nice.
So, it's about a black girl who goes to like a, so the deal is that like black people now are no longer slaves, but they are being forced to fight the zombies.
Wow.
So she's like a zombie fighter, and there's like this other girl from her school who's passing, and then there's like, but like it's so good. I mention her because I ship them really hard.
Nice.
But,
that's awesome.
Like Catherine is asexual, so I like feel a little bad about shipping them, but also they could be like life partners and like not have sex. That's fine too. Anyway,
exactly. So now when I read it, I'm gonna have that take in my head.
I mean, you're gonna have that take in your head already. It's right there for the taking. And there's several good ships. It's like a very good shipping book. And so there's going to be a sequel, but there's like no information that I can find about when. And I'm like, come on.
Ooh. I love that you're telling me this because I had forgotten it. And I have found myself just this week, I am like waist deep in reading 7 or 8 nonfiction, a few memoirs and some other stuff. And I'm never like this. I don't have a novel to pull me in because the last 2 novels I've read, I've just abandoned midway through, and I need a good, solid, drag me through read.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. And by the way, for anyone who like is not a big fan of zombies or horror, it's scary, but there's not a lot of like I don't know, like I'm squeamish, and I had no problem.
Okay,
like there's
great.
Some gross stuff, but I mean it's not like,
as long as it doesn't have
it's not like that really detailed zombie like descriptions of brains for 5 pages.
Great. Yeah. That's perfect. That's what I want to avoid. But I have really enjoyed some zombie stories, like my friend Sophie Littlefield's Aftertime trilogy. I think is just still one of the most brilliant trilogies ever, and it's zombies, and I don't care. I'll still read it because it's so good. Thank you for suggesting that. What would you like to tell us about right now? Where can we find you? What book of yours would you like us to read?
So let's see. Where can you find me? Sorry, I'm playing back what you just said. So roselerner.com, ROSELERNER, is my website, and that links to all my social media. I mostly am on Twitter, at roselerner. And you can also, excuse me, I have a newsletter. So I have like new release alerts where you just get an email when I have a new book out. I have like a monthly update email that I send out. And then I also send a little weekly email that I call my Spoiler Wednesday. And basically I just share something small from what I'm working on, like a little bit of research or like a line that I just wrote or like something that I'm thinking about. And that I really enjoy writing it, and people seem to really enjoy reading it. I get a lot of like responses to it. So
I want to back up and just say like that your whole response to email newsletters, I think like seems great, and I haven't heard that particular take on it, and I think it just seems really smart.
Thank you.
And you're serving readers, which which for me is always something I really struggle with. I also serve writers because I write books about writing. So I have an email newsletter about writing, that goes along with like the people who are listening to this podcast. And that's a weekly newsletter, which I love writing, but I always wonder what I can do for the actual readers out there. And that's super, super smart.
I've been thinking, so I actually just started a freelance book doctoring and research assistant situation.
Cool.
So if anybody listening wants another eye on their book, if you're stuck, if you want help either putting together some research resources like books for you to read, or if you need some fact checking, my specialty is obviously the Regency, and then I secondarily the Revolutionary War period in America, but I'm willing to read whatever and look into whatever.
That's fabulous.
And my email for that is rosedoestheresearch@gmail.com.
That's great.
But I've been thinking about starting another newsletter for that, but I'm like, oh God, do I have time for one more newsletter? But it would be so fun. I don't know. We'll see.
I do love newsletters. I love getting them and I love sending them. And of course we're not talking about the spammy kind of newsletters.
Yeah.
We're talking about the newsletters that people put thought into and send out every week or every month. And I have them trained to go to my inbox, my priority inbox. The ones that I love, I train them to go there instead of ending up in my read later inbox. That's awesome. I'm glad that you shared that. And what's your most recent book that you would like to tell us a little bit about?
So I've already talked about Hamilton's Battalion. Obviously, it was inspired by the musical Hamilton, which I love. And my individual story from that just came out as a standalone.
I saw that you guys did standalones for that. That's really cool.
So if there's just one or two from the honestly, even if you want to read two, it's a better deal to just buy the anthology.
Yeah.
But if there's just one out of them that you want to read, all three are now available. Let's see. Let me look at my shelf. I would say I have a small little erotic novella called All or Nothing. I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know. Don't get too excited by the erotic novella thing, but it's definitely very sexy. It's not necessary. Yeah. Anyway, those distinctions are difficult.
Yes.
But it's steamy. Let's say it's steamy. It's a steamy novella. It's called All or Nothing, and it's about a shy architect who has a huge crush on this hostess at the gaming den that he goes to, and then he wins her in a game of chance, and then he's like, will you pretend to be my mistress because I have to go to this house party and I want to get work done while I'm there?
I love this premise.
Thank you.
And then they get it on.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to get it on a bunch. So that's a novella. So small, what's the? It's a high, whatever. Anyway, I can't think of the word that I want. And then the first book in my Ladley St. Lemeston series is Sweet Disorder. That's the one I was talking about that was inspired by Gossip Girl. But it is about a local election where the heroine, if she was married, her husband would be able to vote because of the way their town charter is set up. But she is not married, so people from both political parties, including the hero, are trying to set her up with somebody so she will get married before the election.
That is a great premise, too. You have awesome hooks.
Thank you.
Dang. Can I ask you, is the name Lively, since you were thinking about Gossip Girl, then does any of that come from a Blake connection?
Oh, yes. It was originally
good.
The name of the town in the first draft was Blake Lively. So here's the thing. Every main actor on Gossip Girl, their name sounds like a town. Let's go through it.
True.
Okay. Blake Lively.
Yes.
Leighton Meester. Chase Crawford.
Oh my God. They're all East Coast towns.
Penn Badgley. Those are all towns in England.
Oh, that's amazing. Nobody but you has noticed that, but now I'm going to see it every time. That is awesome. Thank you so much for your time here. I'm going to say a fake goodbye to you, and then I want to say goodbye to you again after I hit the stop recording. But thank you so much for being on the show today. It was so fun to have you.
It was fun being here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. Talk soon.